The following program is hosted by immature, irreverent, obnoxious, and often disgusting young men. Listener discretion is advised.
This time on Nude Clan. Thinking about pirating that game you want? Think again, motherfucker!
Shall we play a game?
Welcome to another episode of Nude Clan Gaming. I am your host, Caleb Craig.
I'm your other host, Joe. Who the fuck was making that sound during the silence thing?
I don't know what you're talking about. I am Caleb.
And this is Cameron.
What do you mean, what the fuck am I talking about?
What are we going to be talking about this time, guys?
We are going to be talking about piracy and emulation.
Ooh, that's a touchy subject for some.
But first...
Where are you guys in the games you're playing? Are you guys, I know you just barely finished Fallout 4. Are you playing anything else currently?
I just got Just Cause 3, Just Cause.
Just Cause?
And I have been really enjoying it. The Just Cause series has been a favorite dick around game for me.
Yeah, you love dicks. That's what I've heard.
I do love dicks.
And you are quite round, so
especially my own.
Combination.
You polish it nightly.
I do. Gotta spit on it, rub it nice, get it all clean.
Yeah, I understand.
Caleb does it too. I mean, sometimes he does it for me.
Well, I thought we were going to wait to tell him. It's over the show, really?
We've done it before.
Jesus Christ, you guys.
So Just Cause 3.
Yeah, I think Bandram told me the other day that someone had posted a YouTube video of somebody attempting to walk across the entirety of the map for Just Cause 3, and it took them 9 hours.
Holy shit.
That's pretty beefy. It
is a very large game.
Did we talk about the second Elder Scrolls game when we looked up stuff on it?
The Hammerfell? I don't think we did on the game.
We might not have said it on the show.
Why would we have talked about that?
Well, because me and Cameron have toyed with the idea of playing through the Elder Scrolls game, starting with number 1. Now, I'm not saying we're going to do this now. That would be a really bad idea. But someday it'd be an interesting thing to do. And what I found out about at least the second Elder Scrolls game, and the first one's supposed to be even larger, but they haven't calculated how large. The second Elder Scrolls game, the map on it is half the size of Great Britain.
Holy shit.
Based on your character size and the size of the landscape. So in order to get from one side to the other, it could literally take days.
That's fucked up.
Of just pressing the forward button.
That's fucked up.
Isn't
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. I bet you it's mostly desolate, to be honest.
Well, it is. And it's supposed to be, randomly generated in some ways.
Oh, that's cool. It's like Diablo.
Yeah.
I thought that's what Arena was. That's why they couldn't.
Oh, yeah. Arena was completely randomly generated.
And that's why they
right.
can't get an official.
See, now I'm not sure about the second one. But that is the size of the second ones.
Damn.
That's pretty impressive.
So you're saying it took that long. I'm saying that ain't nothing.
Yeah. Take a seat, Just Cause.
Well, Just Cause is graphically
yes.
At one point, when we were playing Final Fantasy XI for our Ultimate Final Fantasy show, check it out, ultimatefinalfantasy.com. When we were playing that, I was saying this could very well be the largest game ever, just in terms of map size. And then I found out about the Elder Scrolls thing. There's no fucking way that's the biggest game of all time.
It's bigger than the Elder Scrolls that we know currently, I think. But
definitely, yeah.
But
FF11 is?
Oh yeah,
okay.
I think so. There's no chance, dude. It takes so long to get anywhere in FF11 without those fucking teleport books. Not a chance, dude. Not a fucking chance. Days. I would have bred the Chocobo if they didn't have the books. I would have created that bird. I would have taken the month it took to create the bird just because I knew I would
Month
save
of real
time.
time.
Real time, yes. It actually takes that long for it to hatch and shit.
I think that's part of what's killing the MMO. Is just
The size?
I think. Well, they've slowly gone from the MMO being such a huge, just giant game sort of concept where everything takes real time to do everything, and they're slowly making MMOs kind of with World of Warcraft and on. They're making MMOs like a smaller thing,
Yeah, a lot easier to get
which
into.
is
They're-
not what an MMO is.
No, it's supposed to be this big thing that's almost like a secular game where it's all the real nerds that like really understand how
Right.
much goes into it. And now you get this World of Warcraft where it's like everything's just instantaneous, instant gratification. We brought that up all the time in FF11 where that doesn't exist.
Right.
And it does have a certain sort of appeal to it because you put the time in to create these crafting items, these questing objectives, and now it's just so instantaneous. It's just different.
It goes along with, games being easier, and we'll talk about I'm sure we'll have an episode on difficulty in the future.
Oh, yeah.
But games being easier and games being shorter and all this other shit. It all kind of has to do with, I don't know, everybody's connected now just to their phones and the internet, and they feel like they have more distractions than they did before. Not that they actually do.
Yeah.
But they feel that way.
We
And
have
so
more
thus,
in a way.
there are more easily accessible distractions
Yeah.
at all times. And so people feel like the world's moving so fast and all this other shit. It's not necessarily true, but people feel that way.
Yeah. Well, speaking of,
And so thus putting time into an MMO it takes a month to breed a chocobo. That's an absolutely ridiculous concept.
Yeah, nowadays.
To the average player.
well, speaking of time it takes to do things in video games, how's your Diablo play going?
I think we should skip. I think we should talk about a few other people.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go first then. My Diablo experience went very well. I decided to, as you guys know, play as a warrior, which is the easiest class to play for a beginner. Though my roommate played a sorcerer, and him and I have both played Diablo multiple times throughout the years. I never finished it, but I played a lot of Diablo. And he said the sorcerer was way easier for him, knowing how to play the game. So it's kind of if you're a beginner at the game, it's a better game to play, or a better class to play, warrior. But if you're good at it and you understand the elements of the game, the gameplay itself, the mechanics, the sorcerer might be an easier play. But I just said, no, I like warrior. That's kind of what I like to do. And I beat the game already. I beat it like Saturday night after last episode. After we got done recording, I went through and I killed Diablo. I was like, oh. So yeah, I'm completely done. I'm not really working on anything at the moment. Yeah, I'm just kind of in between games, studying up in school.
I'm
and
in
whatnot.
between games right now.
Yeah, what about
so
you?
you haven't been playing Battlefield or anything?
No, nothing. Oh no, Battlefront.
Battlefront?
Yes,
Yeah, Battlefront.
That's different though. That's all online. That's not a story.
Cameron, what have you been doing?
I picked up the first Fable, and I'm just trying my hand at it, see what it's like. It's something I did not play growing up,
Okay.
so seeing what it's like.
How you liking it so far?
I think it's fun. I think at my first impression of it, awesome music, by the way. The opening scene music, that was like all real instruments. It was perfect. Well, besides a synth every now and then, but but getting into it, I think the disc
Your
I
health is
purchased
low.
was scratched. But see, yeah,
Do you have any potions?
that I
Or
hate.
food?
I hate that. I hate that so much. It's like this guild master.
It's a mild thing on that game.
It's this guild master who somehow can keep track of every single hero ever, and then give them updates on their health when it's low. I think how much of a full-time job that is. That's why he has to stand there next to the map in the map room. He can't move because he's constantly just going.
He's looking at your guy.
Yeah, it's like a satellite.
Every hero he has to keep track of.
Dude, but it is like once your health is low, that's every like 30 seconds or something. He'll go, your health is low. Do you have any potions or food? Your
like,
health
alright.
is low. Do you have any potions or food?
That's like some of the like key annoying lines from video games, like "Hey, listen," or "You must construct additional pylons."
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like at the beginning it felt very much like a kid's game, but as it's going on,
Because you start out as a kid.
as I went on,
It's not a kid's game.
It's like a mix. It's like a mix of a kid's game feel with adult themes.
Okay. All right.
All right,
'cause
so
I'm
why are
gonna
you
say you
playing,
can have sex in that game.
Why are you playing Fable though? Is it for
And
any
when
sort
you
of
when
It's
you
for
kill
a review
people, like
later.
their heads like spray up in the air with blood.
who are you
kids
playing?
Feel.
Who
Kids
are you
game.
going to play it with?
It is a good
Joe
game.
and I are both going to be playing this game to review. I'm
Oh,
going to be
at some
taking
later
the
date.
So I
good
gotta-
path, and he'll be taking the light path. But it's hard.
I feel like Joe
Just-
should probably finish Diablo.
It's not
Let's,
for a while. It's not for a while.
I would be very close to finishing. Okay, Cameron. So you've been playing Fable. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I
fine.
guess it's my turn.
It is your turn. Please tell us your experience with Diablo.
Okay, so the listeners may know this. I was having trouble with my computer overheating while I was playing the first Diablo for the first week of doing this show.
Well, yeah.
And so I was having troubles with that, and so we broke open my computer, realized there was a fan that was unplugged, and so we just plugged that back in. I cleaned off some dust that was caked on there a little bit, and I figured it was good, and it was good. And I played as a sorcerer for a few levels, and I realized that the difficulty level on the sorcerer was a little bit much for me as a beginner player to the first Diablo to handle. And so I was asking Caleb what he played. He played warrior, and I was like, okay. And I looked up some stuff, and it was like, warrior is the easiest character to play. I was like, okay, you know what? This is my first time playing through this game.
Yeah.
I shall start a new character as a warrior. And I was having a dandy old time.
Oh yeah, you wreck shit with the warrior.
Now, I got all the way down to level 12 of 16. So I'd probably put in about 6 to 7 hours. Oh, not including the sorcerer shit.
Okay, yeah.
I probably put in 6 to 7 hours of solid gameplay time into the first Diablo. Now, I got down to level 12, and I walked around for a little bit, saved my game, and I was like, should I keep going? And I was like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I should keep going. And I clicked forward to walk forward, and suddenly the computer went...
Sorry, it's not really funny.
The computer turned off, and I was like, fucking what? Like, I thought this was all figured out. Like, I thought this was done.
Yeah, you thought you fixed it with the
Yeah.
blowing out all the dust.
I
Yeah.
thought it was cool.
All right.
And I never had any previous game problems with the computer overheating and then me getting back into Diablo or anything like that. That hadn't been a problem when it was overheating the first week.
Okay.
I reboot my computer after a couple minutes, and I go into Diablo and I press to load game, and my profile that had my warrior on it was just not there anymore. That's that's actually what I said. Believe it or not, I thought maybe you were recording me there. I'm not
Same
sure.
duration, Joe?
And I was there was just a moment where I just calm down and just accept it. And then I was like, what the fuck am I going to do for the review? Because I'm not sure if I'll be able to. I'm going to reinstall Diablo on my external hard drive in hopes that it'll protect the save file a lot more. Also, it should put less pressure on the computer itself, and I could be able to play it on a separate computer if I install it on an external hard drive. So I'm going to do that, and I might play Diablo at school.
Yeah, so just imagine
in one of the empty computer labs.
Just imagine the fuck at school.
Yeah, fuck!
And someone looks over and I'm like, no, you come over here and try this. Look at that. Look at how many of those fucking guys are spitting at me. Come on. And look at that shit. It's a barrage.
It never stops. No, dude, that's fucking just me thinking about the time lost.
That's pretty rough.
I've already talked about this on the Ultimate Final Fantasy show, but I'll bring it up here for those who don't listen to that show. When I'm playing video games, I feel my time not being used in a productive fashion. I know most of you guys do not feel this. And I say, well, that's nice for you. But, I feel like, I only have so much time on this planet that shall be devoted to my life, and I want to get a lot of stuff done within that time that I am on this planet, and I want to experience a lot of things. And it's not necessarily every video game on the planet, although I love video games, and that's why I'm doing this fucking show. But then again, there is that small sense of depression. When I've been playing a video game for too many hours, I suddenly feel like, oh, okay, maybe I should stop and do something useful. Not that I necessarily go and do something useful. That is just how I feel. So me thinking about those 7 hours of Diablo that never
meant anything,
that never concluded in its own essence of video game, which the definition of a video game is a waste of time. Like it just hurts. It hurts so much. And I don't know how to deal with the pain.
Yeah, I felt that.
I have to
before.
replay that shit.
But the nice thing about Diablo is the randomly generated dungeons. It will be a different experience.
I don't
this time
want it to
through.
be a different experience. almost.
You're just playing more of the game for the listener's enjoyment.
The game
for a
itself,
review.
okay, the game is an anxiety-inducing game by design. Because you can't really see that far ahead of you. It's got these dark, kind of scary themes throughout. And it gets decently difficult.
Yeah, it does. I agree.
Pretty much, it's decently difficult the whole time, honestly. Just because of where you start out and how things are around you.
Yeah.
So the idea of going through 12 levels again, I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, well, the item drops are different. The quests are different. I mean,
There are some things where I'm like, oh, I can improve on this and this. Like, I can worry more about my equipment and less about getting potions.
Yeah.
Which was a problem. Now I know exactly what equipment to get, so...
Yeah, there you go. It'll be a faster playthrough, just like when you restarted as the warrior from the mage guy.
Yeah,
You
it
knew
was
what
a
you were
lot
doing.
easier going. That's for sure.
And it is tough in the beginning to play sorcerer, but then it gets way easier later when you start getting the OP spells and your magic is just wrecking. All right, so I don't know. Speaking of that, I mean, how do you guys feel about I don't know if did we talk about this before, where we talked about how you feel like you're wasting time? Do you guys ever hit that wall with gaming? Because I hit it sometimes too. Like if I'm playing 14 all day, I am like, okay, I need to go do something.
Me and you, do you have ADD?
No.
Okay, I don't have ADD either. But I am sitting across from two people with extreme ADD. And so I feel like the game could probably be like some kind of focus thing for them. Like they put all their stuff into it, and I feel like that a lot of ADD people do. Just by looking at your guys' faces right now, I'm excited. Okay, what are you gonna? Okay, Caleb, Craig, do you ever feel the time suck depression?
Only if I've been playing a shooting game for an extended period of time do I ever hate life.
Why? Well, is that just because you hate the shooting game?
It's partially because I hate the shooting game, and it's mostly because I get burned out on them really easily. Even when I'm playing with friends, like there were times where Caleb and I were binging playing games together, and I just can't do it for long periods of time. We'd have to like stop, take a break for a little bit because it's too much.
Okay.
All right, what about you, Cameron? Do you feel like you're wasting your days away when you're playing Fallout for...
Well, seeing that it takes effort for me to even start playing a video game, then yes. I just don't have as much of a desire to play video games anymore. And I played more video games in that 2 weeks of Fallout that I had for a very long time.
Well, that's video game.
And I didn't like it. I didn't like being forced to play a video game.
Well, that was a special circumstance. You have a lot more time for these other ones.
How do you feel about Fable thus far? Do you feel like you're wasting your time playing it?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because I don't like playing it.
Well, why are you on the show?
Well, I like playing video games.
Well, it doesn't sound like you like playing video games.
You
love
you
Fallout.
I love playing video games, but I like playing it when I want to play it.
Oh, okay.
But you didn't before.
I still played tons of video games before, but when I felt like playing it. And I just don't usually end up playing video games for very long or very often when I just don't let myself do it. So now I have this focus to play video games, this requirement, then I can actually do it more often than I would have.
Oh, so you're less stressed to play Fable. Are you less stressed to play Fable knowing that you have a little more time?
Yes, I'm very much
Okay.
less stressed playing Fable than
All
I
right,
was
as long
playing
as you get
Fallout.
shit done in time, it's fine. It's just, I understand you can't really, and the thing with Fallout and games like that, you need the time to enjoy it. You need lots of hours to truly play the game. That's why I haven't touched Skyrim yet, is because I've been playing all these Final Fantasies.
Fable's not as big as Fallout, but it is similar.
But
in that
one
way.
thing I've noticed about Fable is when you begin a quest, you can't just save and come back later. You have to start the quest over again, and that really does hurt my
Don't
desire to want to
remember
keep
that,
going.
But we'll see.
Sounds like you got to set aside
That would be
questing
kind of a
time.
problem.
No, because when you hit the pause button, it says that the world save turns into hero save. And hero save says it'll save your stats, equipment, and stuff you have, but it won't save your progress in the quest.
I don't ever
But when you're not
remember
in a
that.
quest and you press the start button, it'll say world save, where it actually saves everything.
I don't know. That sounds weird.
The quests are pretty small in Fable, though.
Right. The quests aren't very big, but you have to start over if you don't actually complete it.
I don't fucking remember that.
Well, go ahead and
I
pop
really
it in
don't.
and take a look.
Well, he has to play Diablo.
I don't remember
Yeah.
ever being like, "Oh, I can't go now because I have to save on this quest." No, I don't remember having to do that.
That's how it is for me.
I only played the game like 2 years ago.
I wonder about
No,
the experience
and I
that
was
you'll
in-
have then.
I was in school, so I feel like that would have been a problem, but I wasn't.
Well, it
So
is a
maybe it's
problem
the
for
wrong
me.
type of save.
Maybe. We'll have to find out more later
Yeah,
when the time comes.
that's really fucking.
a
You're gonna have to
month.
show me what's going on
I'll show you.
because I gotta see that. That sounds like bullshit. So,
But, one downside to,
and it would be bullshit if that is in fact the case.
And then if you die or you fail a quest, or you don't go back to a checkpoint, you have to start the whole thing over again.
that's kind of rough. I
Yeah,
mean, it
that's
depends.
intense.
It's like Jack 2 brutality, where the checkpoints are like 10 minutes apart.
Jack 2 is brutal, but mostly because
Traveling
of the
in Fable's
racing.
really quick.
Traveling is fast. You can just teleport wherever you want to go.
Yeah. So I don't see a problem.
Okay, then.
Actually, I do see a problem if in fact that is true. I'll have to check that though.
Yeah, that
nuts.
sounds interesting. I don't know.
That's nuts. But so Cameron, you feel like your time's wasting away if you're forced to play a game.
And and I feel like my time's wasting away when I'm playing it for fun. But I'll
what's
say
your
I worked really
alternative?
hard this week. I say, hey, I've been working really hard this week. Then I can reward myself with playing a video game for a certain amount of time.
Okay, so that feels better.
But my games that I really enjoy, like the Fallout series, I don't feel the time waste as much as I would with a different game.
With a game that you're being forced
so it
to
depends
play.
on the game too.
It definitely depends.
See,
on
for
the
me,
game.
it doesn't even depend on the game. I could be having a time of my life, and then I'll just have that pausing moment for a second where I'll be like, "Oh,
And it really just depends on my mood. There'd be some weeks where I can like, oh man, I'm going to keep playing this and playing this and playing this. And other weeks I'm like, I can't even make myself turn on the Xbox.
Yeah, I
'cause
get
still want to.
I get the same way when I drink a lot. I've noticed that sometimes when I'm really, really trashed, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I am shit faced right now. What am I
yeah.
doing with
That's
myself?
why I'm done drinking."
And then he plays canon on League of Legends.
Yeah, and then I remember why, and then I remember this is why.
You don't get sick like I do when you drink, do you?
Not really.
Why am I the puss of the table?
There's only sometimes that I do. Like the one time when we watched Tusk. That's when I was brutalized. Like I didn't even have that much. It was only like 6 or 10 maybe.
No,
And,
it was a lot. I remember you were going for your goal. You were going for your previous record.
Yeah, you were. You
jeez.
had tons. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe
you
I
had a lot.
Maybe I had more than I thought, but I felt really, really ill. Like just not okay. And I normally don't feel that way.
See, I get to the point, if I am
Curse of
drunk,
Bud Light.
then I feel sick. There's no being drunk and not feeling sick.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe you have some weird bread thing.
So being slightly buzzed is about the area that I'm willing to go in, because then I don't feel that sick.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess it's not for everybody. I don't know.
No, it's not.
But that is-
oddly enough, drinking's not for everybody.
That is how I feel when I do that, though. Never really with games.
Okay.
There are times where I feel like with the Final Fantasy series, the reason why I want to do completionist and a lot of stuff is because I don't want it to become just me doing what I need to, the necessities. I feel like that is when I feel like I'm not actually playing it, like as if I were only watching movies to just watch movies on the list. Now, I will intentionally single movies on the list out because I know they're supposed to be this esteemed, film to watch, and it's supposed to be good. But I won't only watch a movie because it's on the list. and I won't only play a Final Fantasy because I have a Final Fantasy podcast or video game. I want to enjoy it as well, and I feel like sometimes...
So you take the time to do the extra stuff?
I try to, yeah, if whatever's available. But Diablo, I only got a couple side quests to go through, and I did them both, or all three, I guess. And, I enjoy that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to restart and get every possible scenario either. So it's kind of hit and miss, but I like to do as much as I can, get the full immersion. And
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a mentality thing.
Shall we talk about our views on piracy and emulation?
All right, so I have had some experience with emulation in the past. I think when I was probably about 10 or 11, I downloaded a Super Nintendo emulator for my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I had all sorts of old school games. I remember Final Fantasy 2 and 3 were both on there, where 2 was 4 and 3 was 6. And it wouldn't let me save. Like, there was something wrong with the emulator, and I couldn't save. I loved it. It was a lot of fun playing the 2D, old school Final Fantasy games, but I could never save, and I just stopped playing it. And I also had one that was like a ton of old school arcade games, and that one I played like crazy.
Okay.
I had Donkey Kong, the original, where you're Mario and you're like jumping over the barrels and climbing the little ladders. And I had this other cult hit for myself at the time that was called Burger Time, and I would like...
Nice, I remember Burger Time.
I loved Burger Time, okay? You basically run around and you're this dude and you step on portions of a burger, and when you step on them enough, they fall through that layer and they go to the next layer, and you have to like make a burger on the base level. And you could pick up salt and like throw it on the eggplant dudes, and they would disable the enemies, and you'd be able to like climb the ladder without getting interrupted. And it was a blast. But I had that emulator, and I think that's about it as far as my...
That's the only piracy of games that you've had, or emulation. We're roping both emulation and piracy into the same thing, for the merits of this discussion. Is that all your piracy as far as games are concerned?
I may have played Age of Empires 2 on a copy disc, but it was given to me. So I don't know how much that counts. I was a kid, for God's sake. I couldn't actually go buy it.
Okay.
So there have been a few cases like that. But I mean, with Diablo, I had the option to go take it from the internet, which admittedly, if they really cared, they wouldn't have sold it to Sierra, the laziest game company ever, because of their...
Did they sell it?
Yeah, they sold
Did
the
you
rights
double-check that?
They sold the rights to the first Diablo to Sierra. It's distributed by them.
Okay.
I don't know why. I'm not exactly sure. I need to look into it more. We'll talk about it on the review, but that's why you can't get Diablo 1 from Blizzard, is because they don't actually necessarily own it anymore.
It's a good thing we both were able to get a hold of copies then.
Yeah,
right?
so I was like...
Not copied copies, but actual physical copies of the game.
And my roommate was like, oh, you can just download it from this site. And I'm like, no, my buddy has it. I'll just play his copy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, but it's got the special edition, the expansion. And I'm like, I don't want to open it up for more. I want to just play the core game kind of a thing.
Okay.
So I don't know. I've been pretty decent about that, except for my not necessarily true version of Windows that I currently am running.
And then also a question is, if you didn't have access to a physical copy, would you have downloaded it?
We probably would have played a different game.
So you would have played a different game.
No, I would have copied
But what would you have done?
He would have copied my disc.
Yeah. And that would have been technically stealing.
Yes.
But you know what? If they're not going to make it available, I say
we'll talk about
availability.
our different ideas about emulation later. But I just want to hear everybody's experiences. Like what? Because we've all pirated here. It's not, and most people in the United States have.
It's
pirated.
not a victimless crime according to the movies.
It's not.
We'll talk about that too.
Caleb Craig, your piracy past,
present,
and
future.
We'll get to future later.
Okay.
Okay, it's funny that you mentioned Diablo, because the first one that I probably had was Diablo, but not because of something that I had done. My dad had a work friend, like right when Diablo had come out, he
Right.
pirated it and then gave my dad a copy, and that's how I played the first Diablo, was a pirated copy
Nice.
as soon as it came out.
It's a really easy disc to copy, if I remember correctly.
Like it wasn't
There's
a
like
problem.
no security
like
at all.
literally, I think my dad said his work friend had like handed out hundreds of these things just across the his workspace. Just like everybody had Diablo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy
anyway,
shit.
yeah.
So past then.
So past then, the only thing that I can really think of is emulating Game Boy games through the Visual Boy Advance.
Okay. Was that mostly in high school?
Yeah, that's what he did a lot of
mostly,
in high school.
mostly high
He
school.
was always trying to get me on the Visual Boy Advance, and I was like, Game Boy
Visual Boy
games,
Advance, man.
Game Boy games at a large tend to kind of suck.
Okay.
That's not true.
Was there at one point where PlayStation 2 games were really easy to pirate?
Once they cracked the security thing, I
Because
think
I have an experience. Someone I know, they would oftentimes go to like Hollywood when Hollywood still thing, rent their PlayStation 2 video games, burn them to copy them, and then just send them back, and so they'd have the game forever.
you could do that. Yeah,
Wow.
it's
They
essentially a
would do it.
DVD.
They
Once
would do it all the time. New game came
Jeez
out. They would go
Louise.
to Hollywood, rent it, and then just copy it.
that's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Cameron? Speaking of going to Hollywood,
I know you have a piracy story.
I do.
In the beginning.
In the beginning. Everyone knows that when Microsoft rushed Xbox 360 out, that quite a bit of them suffered from the red ring of death.
Or explosions.
I had bought my Xbox 360 used, so I had no warranty on it. I bought it used from another guy, and I was playing it, and I was actually playing World at War online with someone who was playing zombies, and then I noticed some like weird, crazy lines come across the screen as I was playing. I'm like, dude, I think my Xbox is going to overheat. No. And I was playing along with it. I'm like, okay, guys, I'm signing off. Hopefully I can get back on. So I turned it off, and then I could not turn it back on. Red ring of death.
Is it dead?
It is dead.
Is it dead?
It's a quiet drop.
Yeah, it is kind of quiet.
So I didn't have a warranty on it, and I know you could pay Microsoft however much money to fix it, and they would, fix it. I think also give you a warranty on it again.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. High school, we all knew a guy who could fix stuff like this for you. He would do it for I think it was like $50.
Can we just say his first name? Because it's really going to be hard for me.
Mr.
not to.
N, that's what we'll say.
So I knew this guy. And
Mr.
I
N.
went over to his place, and
We don't
we
say
set up
the
a time.
N word. Is that what you're saying?
I went over to his place with my Xbox, and he just has Xbox parts, PlayStation parts, Wii parts, and just actual stations littered all over his room. He has his computer, Xbox, PlayStation 3. His room was like the edge of what you would imagine being a tech person. He just had it all. Huge,
Tech hoarder almost.
he had huge monitors on his computer. He was just like everything there. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll fix it. About $50, I'll fix it for you. And he's like, also, do you want me to mod your game so I can play, you can just play cheaper games for free? Or not for free. I'd pay him $5 for a brand new game that he would burn for me. I was like, okay.
He's a black market capitalist, is what he is. And I would like to say that he has a checkered past, by the way. Maybe not all those computer parts that you saw.
King me.
They were not computer parts.
Purchased by him.
This was pre that. This was
okay.
they were hard drives. These
it?
were parts that no. What he also told me is that he had a program that would go online and search these internet sites that sell things, and he would look for specifically things that were accidentally put too cheaply online, like an error, like $1 instead of $100. And his program would find those things and buy a whole bunch of them, and then he would then turn around and sell them at full price.
Well, that's their own mistake. That's not necessarily honest, but if I saw a gas station with 10-cent gas, you bet your sweet ass I'd
that's
fill
different.
that shit up.
But that's different. A lot of times
Go buy a tanker.
A lot of times,
Yeah.
if they catch it before the items ship, then they're like, "Sorry, we can't do this for you." And they'll say no. They'll pull them. They'll give you your money
You got to
back.
save the seller.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Dude, what?
Yeah,
So
what?
anyways, he does all sorts of modifications to your Xbox. He'll get put on clear sides. He'll make your control look all nice. He even added his own little turbo button to like manipulate games like COD because there's no time in between pulling the trigger and being able to shoot again.
Yeah,
and so he
it's
made a button
completely-
that would empty your whole clip in just a second. And that would just totally destroy people. He would do tons of mods, physical mods to your stuff, but he was also like, okay, do you want me to make this mod that will let you play pirated games? And I'm like, oh, man, I was interested, but
How much was he charging it for it?
I don't know. I think he said he would do it for like $10. He'll add it.
Was your
him,
Xbox no longer under warranty?
It was
No,
no
he
longer. I
never
bought
had
it
a
used. I never had a warranty.
Oh, that's right.
That's
okay.
why I went to him.
Sorry, I missed that. Go ahead.
So in the end, I told him no, but he went ahead and did it anyway. And that was a clever business move because now I have the opportunity to buy these
$5 games.
$5 games from him.
$5.
$5 illegal
Stolen
games.
And so that was a smart move on his part because I was wishy-washy to begin with. So he went ahead and did it anyway. And now all these brand new games, only $5.
I
think I broke down and I bought 3 of those $5 video games from him. One of them being an online playable game that I was playing with you guys. I think it was one of the Call of Duty games.
It was.
And something happened after a while that I deserved, 100% I deserved.
Yeah.
Is the banhammer came through.
Yeah, what happened is Cameron would not play that game online. He would only play it split screen. I remember this, and I'm like, dude, you can just try it. He's like, no, I think I'm going to get banned. I think it's going to ban me. And I'm like, well, if it's going to ban you, you're going to get banned regardless. I mean, you might as well try it online. And he goes online, and it's just like instantly, he's just banned.
No. I played it online. It wasn't instant ban.
I thought it was.
No, it wasn't instant ban.
You played it for a little bit, and
I
you were
played it
afraid
for a
to
little
log
bit.
back in.
Yeah, they had
And that's when you came
So
over.
this is how Microsoft did it. They would over time they would collect all of these gamer tags, all of these Xbox IP addresses that were modded, that were doing bad things, and they would ban them all at once. Called the ban hammer. The reason why they would do this is because it would sweep a whole bunch of people off their servers and make it better for everyone else.
Right.
So I don't
At
know
least for
when
like a
they
day.
figured out. I don't know when they knew that I was playing pirated games, but I just know they found out and I was banned along with everyone else. And I deserved it. I deserved it 100%. I accept it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So is that all the piracy you've ever done?
That is
As far as video games are concerned.
as far as video games are concerned.
I mean,
Let me
technically,
think.
I've pirated in, I know, while he's thinking about his other stuff, like music. When I borrow you guys' CDs to rip it onto my computer, that's technically piracy.
I guess, yeah.
I think that's a little bit of a stretch, though, because it was purchased, and I don't know, I just like having this bank of
No,
music.
that's piracy.
It is, but I think that's, I don't know, it seems not quite as intense to
But
me.
it still
I think
is.
the legal workaround, and I didn't fully understand this when I was a kid and burned a lot of shit. The legal workaround is that you have your CD, and you may copy your own CD
For yourself.
for your own use.
Yes.
And the fact that the only iTunes I ever use is your iTunes, me bringing my CD over and putting it on your iTunes is me storing it for myself.
Right.
Is
Wait, so you
my
still use my
moral
iTunes account?
Workaround. That's what I did when I filled up my iPod.
Oh, yeah, because I used to be really into, like, getting everyone's CDs and having this
Right,
It's all
awesome
about the
library.
list if you know about us.
Yeah, you know, if you know anything about me, it's all list.
Well, so that's what
No
I've done.
play.
Otherwise, no. There was a certain point where I stopped pirating music.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's necessary anymore. I mean, especially with stuff like Spotify. Admittedly, I do get an ad here and there, but that does support the creator.
Well, even going onto YouTube and listening to a song now supports the creator.
Oh, yeah, especially with that YouTube Red
which is
shit.
really smart.
No, I know it's great, but, you know, the problem with YouTube is I was like, you know, it'd be really nice if I had an Android app that I can have, like, YouTube in the background. And there is one. You just have to fucking pay for it. Everything else in the world offers
It's $10 a month.
a backseat compatibility, so I can go into my contacts or check my Facebook while my fucking song is still playing with an ad, mind you. I still watch that fucking ad, that 1 minute long ad before the fucker started, and I can't minimize the fucking screen. I just have to suffer or pay the red price.
The Red is $10 a
blood
month.
price.
It's too much.
You can download things on your phone if you don't want to use your bandwidth. Like, you can download a YouTube video on your phone.
No, I know.
I'm on the trial right now for it,
I think Dwayne.
and it's awesome.
I think Dwayne does it. I think he bought it.
And you can like shut your phone
Fucking
off,
sit
and the
loud.
audio still plays from the YouTube video.
That's bullshit.
Like everything else.
It's
yeah,
wonderful.
just like every other app, every other program.
I love it.
In the history
I'm
of the
a
world.
big fan. Now
It's not
okay,
worth the money, but it is cool.
We'll talk about my piracy now.
What?
All right.
The biggest piracy?
Actually, I'm really surprised that I have seems to be the biggest history of piracy between all of us.
The one who always.
First off, I've never been a technical guy that like tried to rip off shit. I mean, I have tried occasionally to rip off shit, but I've never been that guy who has been intentionally pirating, at least in my own heart. But obviously, my actions speak louder than words. When I was a kid, I would pirate Timo's computer games. He would just burn copies for me, and sometimes they would work, and I'd be able to play them at my place. And our thing was that we thought this was the law, and I would tell my parents this. We thought the law was that you could burn your own game and give it to someone, and because you're not selling it,
It's
it is
legal.
thus legal,
Oh.
which turns out not to be true as far as I can tell. So that would happen. Eventually, the idea of emulation came upon us one day. Like when I was in middle school, and I was like, what? All these games at my friends' places I can play on my own computer? And it was like, yes, you can. You have to have this software, and then you have to have this file in this one place, and you can simply bring it over. And so I had a burn disk from the Sanders. That was like every thing that they ever collected, emulated, brought onto my computer. And so I played a lot of a lot of Super NES games, and a lot of NES games pirated. Now I know that like there's some legal issues with emulation where like the emulator without the BIOS is legal, but with the BIOS is illegal. So what they do is that they have the emulator as its own software that doesn't work, and then the files are separate, and then you have to bring them together, and then that's the illegal thing that is able to play the information about the games.
All right, so technically,
Which is a nutso idea that they're able to get away with that. Kind of like torrents, like they only have this part of the file, and this part of the file, and this part of the file, and thus it is not illegal.
yeah,
It's
I
one
don't
of
know.
those stupid
Well,
workarounds
with that, though-
that may or may not actually be illegal, but that's what we tell ourselves.
With that, though, I mean, is that the kind of idea that, like with Final Fantasy 12, we can download an emulator that plays it off the disc? It just enhances the experience. Is that similar to that? The emulation program itself isn't illegal because I have the ISBN number from my Final Fantasy 12 copy that I paid for?
You're
On
still taking
day one
money
release.
away from, well...
No, I'm not. I bought the game for $60.
Okay, no,
and the
you're
fucking guide.
talking about a PS2 game right now. If you did it with a PS4 game, you would be taking
Oh no,
money away
PS4
from
game,
some.
yeah. Unless I owned the game. If I own the game and I want to play it on my PC at a
If you
higher
own the
def,
game and you own the system,
yeah, no, that's fine. I think you should be able to.
I feel like that's a moral thing.
I wonder if that's why the emulation software itself is legal, though, because it can be used to just play the game on the computer rather than the PS1, for example. Because why the fuck would you play it on the PS1 if you could unlock more power from
know.
your PC?
I don't know.
Maybe that's why it's legal. I'm not sure either. but
I'm not sure if it is.
that's really
legal.
stupid, though. It doesn't really make sense.
We're not going to argue whether or not a certain type of piracy is legal or not.
Well, it's not really pirating. It doesn't have to be if you already
What
own
about
it.
the emulators that are on like the app stores that you have to pay for? Those are technically
Emulation?
yeah,
so
they're
like
technically
my
emulation, but is it illegal because they are
No,
allowed to
I
be
think-
sold
I
and
think
put
the
on
program
those?
by itself without playing a game is legal.
The program by itself?
No,
Yes.
he's saying like Wii Store, WiiWare, for example. That's totally
Oh,
legal
WiiWare.
No,
because it's
I'm not
theirs.
talking
No,
about
he's
WiiWare.
not talking about
There's
WiiWare.
on Google Play and on iOS.
You're talking about
I know there
the
is
the EPSXE
yeah,
emulator.
There are emulators
there.
on the app stores that are for like $5 that you can buy.
Well, that's
That's the
that can
programmer just giving a program. Legally, it does nothing.
I mean, I don't know. It could be.
You have to have the file of the game
and
in order to play it.
I think through those
and
things,
I think you still have to get the BIOS separately.
What about-
I think you do, but I think it has a link inside the program to go get those.
I know, but it's not on their website. That's what's fucking nuts.
Yeah, that is kind of nuts. What were you saying, Cameron?
What about Arena? Is it because they are giving away Arena? This is
Okay.
Elder Scrolls Arena for free on their website. Is that now legal to play in an emulator?
Well,
There's no
I don't
other
Yeah,
way
I think
of,
it should be.
There's no other way of getting hold of it, so yes.
If you
And
if,
the game company put it out themselves.
Right,
it's put out for free,
Isn't
you
it
should-
the emulator illegal? Is that what we're
No,
discussing?
No, the
a
emulator's
DOS
not.
You
emulator-
playing the
No.
game on the emulator is the illegal part.
Oh,
But
okay.
It's
If-
once all things are put together, it is then illegal.
right, but
Okay.
because the game is free, normally playing it on the emulator in an emulated version is not illegal. I don't think.
Okay, so this is a vehicle that game companies could be using to get their older content out to their
It
their
could
fans.
be, and some game companies don't care. There are game companies that don't mind, but there are a lot that go Metallica mode on it, and they fucking care. And I can see why they care.
It wasn't
does
just
take money.
Metallica. They
No,
were
I
just the
know,
head
but
of
they're just the extra heads of it.
Trent
But,
Reznor didn't like piracy either.
yeah, but I mean, and that's the difference is if they have the software for
And
it.
was it Dr. Dre? Dr. Dre was also really against
And then
it.
you buy the game for a couple bucks or $5 from Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft, and that's a totally different story. But I don't know.
Okay, so what do you think about the emulation that current gen systems are doing? Like with PlayStation doing the PS2 games now on PS4.
Oh, that's
I mean, they
totally
upscaled
fine.
it a little bit, and they've added
That's not-
trophies, but it's still a PS2 emulator
It
that
is,
they're running,
yes.
and
It
they're
is
still...
through Sony.
It
Yeah, that is their- it
but
is their-
That is the difference.
But here's the thing. These are games that you have already bought on their store that they're making you buy again for an
you
emulated version.
couldn't-
So not even
You
like
couldn't bring
an
your old
online version.
You can't bring your old copy and play it?
No, you
No.
can't. It's a totally different game. They upscaled it. They added trophies, which that is an addition to it. So I'm okay with that. And that does kind of shake our argument of if you already own the game, you should be able to emulate it.
Well,
But
and-
it is a separate
You shouldn't feel
entity.
bad about emulating it, but it is still illegal
Right, but if you think about it,
because
if I-
it's part of their license agreement that you're using their shit.
Right. But if you think about it, though, is it really wrong for me if, say, I want to play Final Fantasy 12 and I break my disc? I could either emulate it or I could go buy a used copy that already got bought from the producer, the creator of the game, not putting any money back into them. They don't make any money on it, and I get it. Either way, Square Enix makes $0 on it, and I already bought the game. Is that right or wrong? I think it's wrong, just a little bit, because I'm taking money out of the local economy by not buying it used.
I think that's more of a gung-ho-y type of I'm going to do the thing that helps the most people, rather than you are still buying the used game and thus putting money into the gaming economy anyway.
Right, but it's not into the creators of the game, and that was the whole
It's
argument
not.
that
No, well, that's
the reason why it's legal for PlayStation 4 to have PS2 games is because Sony's allowing it. And it's Sony money going directly back into Sony as opposed to money going into Mario's, the local game store. Sony doesn't see a fucking penny of that. They already sold the game. They sell the game immediately when it ships out.
They saw the penny.
It doesn't actually go towards anything though. They saw it initially. I'm just saying that is that's
Yeah,
a
but
weird,
the person who originally had the game no longer has the game. One person has that game, and it's you.
right, but I didn't.
And the money
actually-
was given to Square.
right. It was given to them initially, but what I'm saying is I already paid for the game, so the money was given to Square.
And believe me, people like Xbox were trying to get rid of the used game market
Yeah, that's bullshit.
because it does take money away from
it does, but that does.
So is it bullshit or is it not?
It,
Based
no,
on your
it's
logic.
bullshit to take it away, but it does take money away from them. They would just lose a lot of sales.
So
Period.
used CDs are still legal.
Yeah, that's the same argument though. Like, what if my CD breaks? I already paid $20 for it. Should I really have to go buy a used copy?
Well,
that
that's
doesn't
why
actually
you
support
burn
the
your
artist?
own copy for your own.
Exactly. So you can burn your games
It's
for your own
the
use.
distribution of it to giving it to someone
And I
else
think it is-
who didn't pay for it.
It is still sort of wrong to take it, even if I did buy it.
Okay,
Only a little.
so now that we're getting into it, is piracy ever okay?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
No.
Mostly because it takes away money from the people that obviously need it. I mean, like, we were looking at stats just a little moment ago, and it costs billions of dollars and thousands of jobs.
I'll look at the exact stats
Yeah.
in a little bit. So you think it's not okay because it takes money away from the gaming industry?
It does, yeah.
Okay. Cameron?
It's not okay because it's stealing. You are stealing, like you said, you're taking their money and you're just stealing it. And that's wrong on a moral standpoint as well as just being wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't okay. Somebody put a lot of hours into that, especially these some of these game developers, just countless hours into creating this game that you've now stolen. Now, admittedly, there could be reasons as far as distribution of the game. You really want to play the game. But regardless of that, if you steal The Witcher 3, you're basically pissing on all the work that went into that game and all the money they spent to produce the game. And if everybody did that, if we go on
then there would never be a Witcher 4.
Right. If you go by Aristotle's theories, if everyone were to do it, it would be wrong, and it would crush it. Everyone can't do it, so thus it is wrong. It's not always true, but in this case, I think it is.
Okay.
There would be no games because
So-
no one could raise the capital to make the fuckers because no one's paying for them.
Now, we have all pirated, and it was mostly in the past.
Yes.
Now, when we were in middle school, junior high school,
Yeah.
and not necessarily had jobs or parents that would allow us to work, at that point, you had no money to go and buy the game. And so you would borrow and steal off of your friends.
I think that's it.
And so the problem with that is that maybe it does very little harm as a high schooler to do that. And it would be much better for the gaming economy if the parents of the kids or / the kids would buy the game.
Yeah.
It would be much better for the gaming industry. But the fact that that's not going to happen for those kids, necessarily, including myself, I would have never gotten a fucking game. So, I think the problem with that attitude is that it transfers into adult life. So even after you get the job and all that other shit, you're still like,
you still have
that feeling of entitlement,
that sense of entitlement,
and which is like, no, I deserve the game / the music / the movie.
See, for me, music was my thing to pirate when I was young.
I think
a lot of people did that.
Pirated a lot
Because music was the thing that was expensive and you wanted it, because
Right.
music was also being cool. That you had the song meant you were cool sometimes.
Yeah, and we were before the MP3 age. And
Yeah.
to some extent, we obviously now it's MP3 days and we're still not old. But Cameron and I, all of us, we were back in the CD days where if you wanted a song, you had to buy the CD. We're not talking 99-cent download. We're talking $14,
No, and
$12
Steve Jobs
CD.
put tons of money back into the music industry with
Buy
his,
the
with his
singles,
iTunes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, but I still don't use it. But
Do you remember? Do you remember using a Walkman at all?
I used a Walkman like
I
daily.
used
In high school
Walkman.
even, dude.
I used a Walkman for quite a bit of time
Yeah.
I went through a lot of good CDs.
because a Walkman wouldn't skip when you accidentally hit it. Like a CD, you couldn't just be like out walking somewhere with a CD player in your backpack because it'd just skip every time you did something a little bit too aggressive, like get on the school bus.
See, I would still okay. I played Walkman ripoff.
I had it in my hoodie.
But I had a
CD
Walkman that
player.
was awesome.
Oh wait, Walkman. What do you mean Walkman?
A
You talking
Walkman.
CD,
There's a
little
Walkman
CD?
CD player, but I'm talking Walkman tape player.
Oh, I had one of those
tape
too.
player.
I had a tape player too.
Oh,
Dude,
I was
I-
like, what the fuck are you talking about? It doesn't
Walkman
skip.
tape player with
Sometimes
an
it
FM
does.
radio.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like,
CD
mine
player was
skipped.
my CD player was like a complicated. It's okay. A Walkman to me is the CD player.
Yeah, that's what I think of too.
It was a complicated
My knowledge
Walkman.
goes back farther. Than yours.
That also had radio. You could switch it to radio.
Yeah, I had
With
that too.
The
I had that
CD.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, so
It was
there
fucking
were
awesome.
CD
that was
player
the shit back then.
Yeah.
CD player Walkmans, but I started with
The tape
A
player.
tape player
I had
Walkman.
one too in junior high. I had this this alarm clock god
And you
machine.
bet your ass I was playing burn CDs.
Yeah, I burned my tapes too.
Oh yeah, so I only had burnt CDs
For
for
the
a long
same
time.
reason that I would get the games because I didn't have
we
the
didn't
money
have the
to
money.
get them.
Yeah.
No money to buy CDs.
No,
so
but,
got it from friends.
I used to have this alarm clock that was also a tape player that was also a tape copier. So I had like a dual-sided tape thing, and I could stop the tape and have the tape automatically play to wake me up. So for like months in junior high, I woke up to TNT by
Wow.
AC/DC, just like bang all the time. It was awesome.
That is pretty awesome. Now I slowly stopped burning CDs. Sometimes I would. There have been times where I've been like, this song is impossible to get a hold of, usually because it's in another language and thus is not available in my kind of
The
way
old
of doing
AKB 48 Joe.
Or we're not going to get into that.
Why not?
I'm not a pervert, but there are.
Why do you say that?
I was learning. Okay, fine. We're gonna fucking get into this since I did burn AKB48 like 2 years ago. Here's what happened. And AKB48 is a really terrible Japanese pop group played by a bunch of like 18-year-old girls, and they got some interesting music videos out there.
Well, you don't know they're 18 though, do you?
They are 18.
Yeah.
Well, they're Asian, so they're eternally
I think
18.
they go from like a younger age into other groups, and then they turn like once they.
So you like ascend to AK, ABKJ.
Yeah,
whatever the fuck.
AK-47.
Yeah.
And I was learning Japanese in my college classes, just beginning Japanese, and I was desperately looking for music that was good from Japan,
That's
and
tough.
I never found it. Let's be clear here, I never found it.
What about Metal
But
Baby?
I did experience. I don't like baby metal at all.
Really?
Yeah, their guitar stuff is cool. As soon as they start singing, I'm like,
They should be more death metal. I think they'd
I'm
be better.
out.
They're like,
And ex-Japan, I don't really care for either, and that's the big Japanese metal band.
Yeah.
Like the big Japanese metal band. Yeah, I don't really... I just don't care for any of the music, and I did burn some music going through that stuff. But that shit isn't available here to buy anyway. You have to, like, ship it in, and, like...
yeah, but we do have that ability
ridiculous.
now to ship it in. It's not like we're kids anymore, or it's a completely isolated economy. It's global now. We can ship it in, although if they have a market in a certain area, they should take the initiative to get into that market. But at the same time, if they're not willing to take that business risk because they don't think it'll pay off, that doesn't mean we should just jack it instead. Unless it's a proven market, in which case they should.
But
always.
with CDs, like recently I bought every single Megadeth CD.
Yeah.
And if there's a group that's coming out with a CD that I like, I will go and buy the CD. Now, there's an equivalent to that, which is you can go and buy the music on iTunes.
Right, that's still paying.
That's
for
the
it.
equivalent. I just don't have a Bluetooth player in my car, so I still play CDs. That's what I do. And there's no auxiliary cable, so I'm stuck. And that's where I listen to my music most of the time is in my car. And I'll listen to music on YouTube a lot too. Like most of the places where you're going to listen to music, you have the ability to get on YouTube and listen to music, which at one time didn't help the artist at all. But now, of course,
Yeah, it does.
that's where they make some money on their music. And most of their money for the artist is made live.
Right, the concerts, which we go to.
With video games, they don't have quite the same economy going on. Luckily for them, they have the ability to make money, which the music industry, with the exception of like 10 people that are on the top of the, Taylor Swift's or whatever, or Adele's, like, unless they are those people, they are making a middle class income / lower class income from their music. Now, even if it is really popular.
Yeah, it's
Which
tough.
is really fucking sad,
It is, yeah.
actually. And there was a point where I wanted to be a musician, and that's just slowly, as I was looking at the industry, I was like, this is bad.
So then he chose, the logical choice, filmmaking, which is, as we know, a voluptuous, just awesome, throbbing market. For,
the
Easily able to get into.
the TV market
it's easy.
is throbbing.
No, it is. But that's not what you want, though.
And it takes the same skill set.
Right, but you don't want a direct TV.
No, I
As
don't.
we watched with,
But I will if someone will pay me.
as we watched The Sopranos, the Steve Buscemi episode felt just like the rest of the show.
Yeah, I know. And that's a different discussion for a different day. When is it okay to pirate?
I thought we already answered this question.
Okay,
Yeah.
we said it's never okay on a moral grounds, but when do you make the exception?
What do you mean?
When
do
it's
we
put
make the
into
exception?
when it's put into his juice, so to speak, and he's automatically
When-
required to drink it.
When do you,
You mean when it's done for you and then you just
As-
accept it?
Yeah.
as an adult employed, when do you make the exception of piracy? I make exceptions to it. I want to hear if you guys do or when you guys do.
I think I got sort of an entitled feeling when I created my computer. I mean, I had pumped $2,000 into the PC, community, the computer business, and I was like, really? Now I have to pay another $140 for Windows? No. I'm done here.
Why would you have to pay $140 for Windows?
It's expensive. It was, at least. It was like $100.
They're always just like $100. Why would it be $140?
I don't know exactly.
Although, I don't think it should be $100 when the next one is already out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But-
Windows 8 comes out,
But
Windows
guys,
7 is still
caveat
$100.
here is that Windows 10 came out. Anyone who is currently using legitimate copies of Windows 7,
or Windows 8.
legitimate copies of Windows 7 and Windows 8, you could download 10 for free.
Didn't I do that?
10 for free.
Because it was easy. It was the easy choice. That's when I've pirated, is when it's the easy choice.
I just wonder, could you have reinstalled your Windows 7 and then just like while it's still new, just like
I don't know, because it's still trial. It still thinks it's a trial version. That's why I don't think I could get 10 for free. It's because when you own 7, you get 10. I might want to try it just in case.
No, I don't think you can now. I think they've moved past the.
No, it's still free. It's still free.
Is
so
it
you're
still
still free. Still free.
Oh,
So I can get 10?
You can try.
You haven't thought about modding your console. You haven't thought about emulating an old game that's not available.
And see,
emulation. Okay, so
we'll move on to you after Caleb.
Whatever, fine.
Answered. I was trying to have you answer, but then he did.
Well, you brought up emulation.
Okay.
So
Keep your pants on.
All right, we'll get to it because I have very similar.
The men talk first, and then the boys. No,
oh, is that right? No, I've always heard that it's ladies first, so you may speak.
Oh, nice. Touche.
How's that an insult? I'm so confused.
Ladies first.
Wow.
And Caleb has the bigger tits anyway.
That's true. That's where I was
They
going
are
with
rocking.
it. That's where I was going with it in my mind, and then I was like, oh, okay, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I what
It's
the
just
fuck
the
was I
Windows
saying?
thing?
Oh yeah, it's just the ease of it. It's when it's so much easier to do. Although with movies, I've never really done that. I've always been willing to spend the $3 to watch. Even recently, Fear and Desire by Stanley Kubrick, because I want to finish watching all of his movies. I was like, all right, well, I got an iTunes gift card. I'll watch it on iTunes.
Okay.
Since it's not free ever, I'll just watch it on here. And
I would like to say that I did offer you that since I have the Netflix DVD plan, I could have gotten the DVD.
yeah, I was cool with it though. For some reason I got it in my mind because I read that it was like virtually unwatchable since its release in theaters, which it was, but it is not anymore. I probably should have just done that, but that's a legal means of going about it. But I think it's the ease of piration and the when it's non-consequential is when it's easiest to do. Like, I'm not going to get in trouble for that. I'm never going to get in trouble for that.
Okay.
Ever. And that's why it's a problem, is because when you can get away with it, you get away with it, and it's you can accept the fact that you're doing it, even if you know that it's morally wrong.
Cameron?
I just don't see myself wanting to pirate anything. I just music, you don't really have that need anymore with all of these, venues where you can listen to a few commercials, but then basically listen to all the music you'd ever want.
The music industry has fixed itself.
Right. It
Games.
was broken before, but yeah.
Games, I just don't see the need to do that, have that experience again that I had where I was just banned. There's no reason for it anymore.
Right, because you got money to buy.
I have money to actually buy games that I actually
So you can
want
tell
to support.
Nephi to go fuck himself.
This is coming from someone. I have purchased Fallout 3.
Mr. N.
I have purchased the copy of Fallout 3. I've actually paid money for it like 3 times.
Okay.
It's like, because I lost the original one, and I feel like
So
I'm okay with it.
You feel like piracy should die for an adult once they...
yes.
All right.
But you're less concerned about teenagers pirating stuff.
It made sense when you said it because I had no other way to get it. I had no other way.
But it wasn't... Here's the moral quandary.
It's always been
It's
wrong.
not like it's food. It's not water.
No, but
Right.
how much?
It is not a need.
How much did music
pirate.
play play a part in your life
a
as growing
huge
up and
part. A
developing?
huge part in all
huge
of ours,
part.
I
The
think.
music I listen to, everyone, it affects you. And if you just took that out, how much of a different person would you be today? A philosophical question for you.
I'd probably be a better person. But there's no going back now.
Too late.
But no, I agree with that, and it's always been wrong. That's the thing. It's never been right.
Never been right.
But we were able to justify it.
But there's
better.
no other. Yeah, we're justifying it. There's no other way I could have gotten a hold of it at all.
Fair enough.
I do have a justification from a guy that I talked to at work. And this justification really pisses me the fuck off. And it's always from someone in their mid-30s, by the way. It's always someone about
into conspiracy theories too?
No, it's not the some guy.
Oh, okay.
It's
was like, God, this
actually,
guy
you know what? They usually do group together, though. The people who are pro piracy, like the pro democratization of the of the big art, like the people who are into just like, I'm going to steal it anyway. And also the people who are conspiracy theorists. They seem to tend to be the same. At least the same looking type of person.
The same genre of person.
So Scode, the same genre.
just the mid-30s scumbag.
All right.
Now, okay, this guy's opinion was, and I talked about pirating Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, I did that.
I
recently.
went on a tirade at work because I talked to everybody at work, and there was one person who had subscribed to HBO in the entirety of my work. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was watching Game of Thrones pirated.
Wow.
Except for moi, who had gone, I had gone out of my way to purchase, or to get a thing that would let me play on HBO Now so that I could watch Game of Thrones without having cable. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, it does shoot them in the foot that wasn't a widely available thing for the few years, and it's only a now available thing. That HBO Now is a thing, right? It's only a year old, which is ridiculous.
No, it is.
They should have been doing this since like Netflix decided they were doing new shows. HBO should have been like, okay, let's have our own app. They should have done that at the beginning, because we would have all probably been paying for all of our shit. This guy's opinion was that because they are already making a ton of money on it, enough money that they are able to pay for the shows, that it was okay for him to skim off the top.
HBO actually said that. It wasn't that guy. HBO said that they've made enough money on Game of Thrones that they don't need.
This was pre that.
Oh, okay. Because HBO said that, it's still okay. But if HBO catches you stealing, they will still punish you.
Okay, is it just like, hey, we're making enough?
They were
don't
cool.
Need to buy it anymore.
They're kind of cool.
HBO was happy because everybody was loving their shit. And that means that if enough people love their shit, they're can make their money back.
Yeah. That doesn't necessarily still make it
because
right.
of people like me who were like, okay, I don't want some pixelated stupid copy of this show. I want to get the full quality. I want to be able to watch it at my house. So like I got the Apple TV and I got HBO Now with it.
Right.
That was that guy's thing though. Since they're making money, it is okay for him to be a pirate on top of it. And I'm like, do you realize, and I had this question to him and he was just deflecting all this shit. He wasn't actually coming up with an argument against it. So do you realize if everybody were like you, the products would not exist?
Yeah, that's like basic ethics and values. That's Aristotle's theory of what's right and wrong. Morality is if everyone were to do it, would it be okay? And the answer is no in this case. Everyone can drink water. That's not a destructive thing unless we run out of water, but that's a totally different issue. If everyone stole HBO's stuff, there would be no more HBO. That's what makes that weak. Now, them saying that it's kind of okay doesn't necessarily make it okay on a moral standpoint, but they're like, all right, we can sustain it. But is it really any different, though, for me to pirate it from my computer rather than go over to your house and watch it with you? There is no difference in the world.
No, because someone is paying for it. If all of us who watched it together took a pirated copy, that would be the problem.
Right, but what if we watched it with you? What? Okay, so
What's
is
the
it
difference of watching a pirated copy online
versus watching it at your place? I'm not paying for it either way. That should still technically be stealing. That's the argument, and that's what makes it tough. Is because it's a super gray area. Because either way, I'm not paying for it. Someone else is.
That is a little gray.
But I did it, and I did do that. I actually watched Game of Thrones illegally through a site.
I mean, you love the program, right?
Oh yeah.
Why the fuck wouldn't you pay for it?
Because I don't want to buy a fucking Apple TV. Because Apple can suck a cock. That's why I won't pay for it. When they come out with an app, when they come out with a real app,
there is an app. I have it on my Kindle.
They're expanding to other things.
Once they expand,
Android has
I will pay. No doubt about it.
Okay, so it's availability.
Yeah, its availability is part of it.
All right.
Yeah.
Caleb, I know you're going to go off on availability on emulation.
Really?
Yeah.
What makes you think that?
We can see it in your beady eyes.
We're ready to answer the question at emulation.
Well, it's mostly just that it is kind of an availability thing with and I would mostly...
Okay, time's up. No, I'm just kidding.
Shut the fuck up. No. Okay, so like I have pirated Game Boy Advance games, which I've said before, and
Okay.
I kind of still think it's okay. Mostly because like I know it's wrong, but I still like justify it because like these are games that I've bought before, and it's mostly like fucking Pokemon games that I still even have. I just can't play them because I don't have.
But you could buy a DS.
But yeah, I could buy a DS, but I just
But it would
don't.
be a used DS. Unless Nintendo would make money on it.
The 2DS, does the 2DS have Game Boy Advance support?
It does not.
Okay. So it's
So
not
the,
a current
yeah,
gen.
the 2DS and
console.
the 3DS only play like the DS games and the 3DS.
Yeah, they
games.
don't.
So they're only backwards compatible for like one system usually.
All right. So we recognize that video games are not a need for anyone on the planet.
No.
And none of us here are communists, so we don't believe that everything should be shared.
No.
Just on our own moral standpoint. Now, for those of you who do think that way, whatever.
Yeah, tell us
Okay.
why. Like, justify
that
it.
is your own MO, I guess. But we believe that things should be purchased for and traded upon and help everyone around it by, utilizing the economy, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, we are semi-okay with teenagers who don't have jobs getting away with it. Or at least we were okay at the time that we did it.
Yeah, I was okay with it at the time.
Okay. So,
Looking back, though,
Yeah, looking back, I want to punch myself in the nuts.
here is when I think emulation or piracy is okay. It's when the company that puts out the product has shot themselves in the foot by not making it easily available for the people who are willing to pay for it.
Okay. Biggest example of that being Final Fantasy, right? There are Final Fantasy games that are not available in North America. Now, North America is the biggest Final Fantasy market. It blows Japan out of the water.
It's true. Type 0.
We are who buys Final Fantasy, yet there are still games that we cannot legally obtain.
Right. So they didn't put out Type 0 for like 2 years. Even though Type 0 was a big game in Japan.
I think it
on
was
the
longer
PSP.
than that.
Yeah, it might have
PSP
been longer
was,
than that.
yeah.
And so, once they got wind that people were pirating it, then they were like, stop.
They were translating it.
Oh, yeah, they were translating it so that people could
Play it in North
play
America.
it from
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Japanese
play it
version of the disc.
Yeah.
They said, stop, we'll put out our own copy, and they sold 1 million fucking units. They shot, now, I would have been okay at that time, say, okay, pirate a translated copy of Type 0 because the company that could have made money off of you has decided not to.
Yeah.
I would also say the same thing for old games, like Donkey Kong Country. Can you get a legal version of Donkey Kong Country on a modern system?
I think you might be able to get it
I
on
think you
WiiWare.
might be able to get it on the WiiWare, but here's the thing with the WiiWare.
WiiWare on Wii or Wii U?
Wii.
Well, actually, on Wii U, there is a Wii emulator, which in turn you can buy on the thing, which will emulate again
Okay.
the old system.
Emulateception? Is that what
It
that's
is
what's happening here?
emulationception.
You're making
So-
your Wii U think it's a Wii to think it's a Super NES.
I would like to
Yep.
say now that is a bad example. But your Game Boy Advance example, let's say, okay, you know what game I'm very sure that they have not updated and made available on any store. The Samurai Jack game that I had when I was a kid.
Yeah, that is
All right.
most likely.
The
not
Samurai Jack Game Boy Advance game. You want to play the Samurai Jack Game Boy Advance game. Now let's say, and it's probably not the case, that the physical copy has not been made easily available to you via Amazon. Maybe a used copy of it costs $60, and of course the Game Boy Advance is a dead system now. And so you can't just go to a store. I mean, unless you live in a populated area like we do, you can't necessarily go to a store
And find it.
and get that Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
And in that case, it would be a used Game Boy Advance. And so you would not actually be putting money back into Nintendo.
Right, but you would be putting money into the economy by buying it from the used game store, which is why used games are accepted by the video game industry.
I'm saying that'd be okay at that point, but what if you weren't? What if you were in the middle of Wyoming?
Well, I don't know. I still feel like you could find it online.
All right, no, okay. Should I make another example?
Probably, because even if it's
Okay.
$60, it's still available.
Do you just have to tear apart my examples instead
sorry.
of understanding the point here. Final Fantasy VII pre-PlayStation Network.
Okay.
Okay? PS3, not compatible with PS1 games.
Yeah, it is.
That's number one. No, some versions are. Actually, very few versions are. Very, very few. Look it up. Now, unless it was like the first generation of PlayStation 3.
That was for
consoles.
PS2 games.
PS2 games.
Yeah, PS1 games are compatible for. I
thought
think, almost
the
all.
controller, like DualShock 3, wasn't compatible.
No, it works. I can play 7 with analog.
Okay. How
Tearing
much
apart
was a
his example
used?
yet again.
How much was a fucking stop? How much was a used copy of Final Fantasy VII?
A lot.
It was $100, right? Yes.
It was about, dude, you sold the freaking PC version for about
That's
that
different.
much.
That was a rare version. to
PC
begin
version
with.
was like only more by $30, and then as soon as they announced that it was going to be on PlayStation Network, then
you could get
it
the game
dropped.
to play
was
for
a-
about $40-50. Shitty copy.
Okay.
But if you want a legit one, yeah, probably about
It was
$100.
$100
Right.
for a game that came out on a console that was 2 generations before, that your console was most likely not going to be able to play had you gotten a hold of it. That is Square Enix's fault for not making the game more available. They didn't put the game out on a PS3 version. They didn't have it for download on PC. That is their own goddamn fault. And in that case, I'd say, hey, you know what? The company has made sure that thing is not available for you. You may play it.
All versions of the PS3 are able to play PS1. It's the 40 gig and 80 gig re-release of the Slims that are not compatible with
my
PS2 games.
Okay.
PS1 games have always worked. But PS2 is a different story, and that works with the point you're trying to make.
All right. Final Fantasy X then.
All right, 10.
Fucking shit!
10 works. 10 works.
All
10
right.
doesn't work. 10 works.
Are you going to stop my metaphors? Okay.
Only when they're found.
In that case, do you guys agree that it is more okay?
I think from that standpoint, if you just cannot get it in any other way, you can more easily justify it.
Yeah, it's still at its core wrong, but it is less wrong because they haven't made it available. But if you think about it, we don't know how much money
It's a gray area.
that goes into localizing a game. We don't know if it's even feasible. If they think, well, this game, it didn't do well here or in an area it normally does well, and maybe they tested it.
$60 game that they sold for 100 million or for 1 million copies.
Yeah.
Do you think? I think that would cover it. I think $1 million would cover
Right,
more
but-
than enough for localization,
Right, but it's their choice
which
to
is
do
a
that.
team of like 6 people.
It's their choice as a business whether they're going to localize it or not, though. I mean,
It is their choice as a business, but if they choose not to make money,
Right, but what if it isn't a big market though? What if, let's say, we want to do the same thing with Dragon Quest, for example? Like, it's not that big here, and we feel entitled to play it.
but it is easily available here.
Not quite as available as Final Fantasy, but yeah, as an example, just some other
You
Japanese
can get it on your
game.
phone.
The first one, yeah. There's.
You can get the first 6 on your phone, can't you?
First 8, actually.
Oh well.
They added 8 to the iOS just recently.
At one
That's
point,
a smart move.
At one point, that argument would have
But
been.
what if they didn't do that? Are we still entitled to the game, even though they've decided
You're
that
not
it's
entitled
worth
to
their-
anything, but I think I personally,
Where is the
on my
entitlement?
list of on okay things,
It's more okay.
I think it's more okay.
I do too. I'm just saying it's still not
Just
okay.
like I think pirating Game of Thrones when you didn't have access to cable, which sometimes you don't in apartment complexes, you can't get cable,
yeah.
right? I think it's okay at that point to get a pirated copy of Game of Thrones.
All right.
Okay,
So here's the thing. I recently purchased another Armored Core game. When I can't remember what the title of it is. What is the title?
Core game?
It's a Gundam
The-
kind of stuff.
the newest one?
Robots.
Yeah, the newest one that I bought.
5, I think.
So I bought it. Okay, you say gay, but it isn't. I really enjoyed that game because it was
games
like
are sweet.
it was a really fun game.
Okay.
I bought a copy, but it's really hard to find a copy playable here in America. I actually ended up buying a copy that was made for France, so I can't play it here.
Yeah, 'cause
so
of the-
am I? And I can't sell it back to the buyer, and I can't. No other game stores around here want to pick it up because
You
no one
should have
can play
pirated
it.
the game.
Can I pirate that game now legally since I own a copy, but I can't play it here?
Technically, you can't legally, but I think it's okay for you to do so.
I think it's okay
because you paid for
That's
it.
on my moral.
Admittedly, you should have known that consoles are
But
region
where?
locked,
But see that's I know consoles.
Where's
are
the
region
line
locked,
drawn?
But
We
no,
don't know.
it's not. It's not made. It's not easily available here in America. That game
Ease
is not easily.
ease of availability is the drawn line
Yeah, that's where we've decided that.
So
to me.
how am I gonna? It's just I don't even know where to go to pirate it, even if I wanted to.
The internet. The internet
Well,
has all.
what generation of game was it?
It's 360.
Okay, so last
So it's
gen.
a generation back. You could probably get an emulator for that. Not on your computer. Your computer would not be able to handle it.
computer.
It's a tablet.
little Surface
You
Pro.
could probably find you could take the next step and get the European region at 360.
You could do it legitimately.
and only have that one game to buy to play.
Oh,
Yes.
your options have opened up drastically. At that point. Any regional game, you're just like, oh, I'll ship it.
Are
over
there
here.
games so there are games they release by region? Is there like a fringe game that only
There's 3 regions, aren't there? So there's
A,
NTSC,
B, and C, yeah.
PAL, and then there's Europe, whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah, there are 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm?
so I could exclusive Europe released games?
there could be.
I could
Yeah,
play.
you could. If there are,
I ever
such a
had
thing.
the need to, and so even if I pop the game in, it'd probably only be in French. So
Yeah, maybe, and they might have an English version. English is a
I should just
large
give it to you,
language
Joe.
in Europe. Yeah, because Joe knows so much French.
Parlez-vous français?
That's more than us. I speak the
Well-
most French here.
Un lapicier.
It's gonna be like Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah.
Grazie.
Yeah.
Arrivederci. Yeah, that's where my line is drawn, is if it's ease of availability. So FF7 was not easily available on a modern thing. And so thus, you know what? More okay to pirate.
Okay.
And I would have pirated it. In fact, I did pirate it. The first time I played FF7.
Pirate scum.
Since then, I've actually bought the game 3 times. Yeah, 3 times.
Yeah,
So
including an awesome copy from me.
2
when I
used
was-
copies and 1 from Steam.
Took advantage of me in a low time, I will say.
Yeah.
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 For the God tier copy.
So
That I borrowed a disc from because my copy didn't work. Fucking. Shut the fuck up.
I also think it's mildly okay to emulate a game that you already own.
Yeah, I don't see the problem with that. I mean, you've done your due diligence.
If you just want to play it for the save states, do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Save states.
Yes.
Thank
So-
God for save states.
That's where my
Well,
line
you
is
have
drawn.
save states.
I do
in
wonder
Final Fantasy III.
where our listeners' line is drawn as far as piracy. And
Yeah, let us know,
emulation goes.
guys. Go on to nudeclan.com and
Nudeclan.net.
.net. Sorry. I forgot we didn't get the actual site. Either that or you could talk on our Ultima Final Fantasy. Since this isn't up on iTunes yet, that's going to be most of our listener base. Just
Yeah,
from
you
our
can
feed.
tweet me at Joseph DeGolyer. That's DEGOLYER.
Tweet me at UFF Podcast. UFF Podcast.
Or you can tweet me at Nude Clan Cam.
There's gonna be people going on there for something.
Yeah, they're
else.
going to be holding their cocks and like,
Nudeclan.com,
what?
yeah, just-
No. See, Joe is Nude Clan Joe on the forums.
That's for my administrative account. Thank you very much.
And I needed something that was short and easily recognizable on the show, and then they wouldn't be too much of trying to type it in to find
That's memorable, yeah. Nude Clan Cam. That's
It is.
that's kind of hot too. It's a risk.
Right, and then you can probably not tweet me at Obsidian Bar.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, they just don't. Nobody does.
Well, it's not. It's
Oh, it's you only
fucking
have
new-
like
it's a
2
new
fans.
show.
Except for Joe, we had like an entire conversation about nothing.
Was it rude? No, you're doing it wrong. You have to insult his Goodreads quotes every moment.
Share them because I care.
Yes, yes. It auto shares from the sounds of it, but
Sort of.
oh, you fuck, you lying.
I press share and then I take off the Facebook thing. Sometimes I accidentally put it on Facebook after I had that tirade about quotes, but it's mostly the image with the quote. Anyway, we had this conversation last week. I
We
think.
did. If it wasn't such an ongoing problem, it wouldn't come up.
So yeah, I think we actually might be in the minority about gamers who don't believe in piracy.
We might be. I
as
don't know.
much. Now, here's the thing. You want to hear some numbers?
Yes.
Okay. So in the UK alone, in 2010, the game industry, because of chipped consoles, they estimated that they had lost 1.5 billion pounds.
Whoa, in 1 year?
In 1 year.
Holy shit! For just chipped consoles?
And
I
they,
guess that's
and they
games
estimated that was equal to about 1,000 jobs in the gaming industry that were lost or never happened because of that lost.
right, that lack of income.
Yep.
Jeez.
And in the Japanese market, in 5 years they lost $45 billion worth of
Dollars? Holy shit!
$45 billion worth of profit in 5 years because of mobile gaming piracy.
Those degenerates.
Now, I couldn't find a number for the U.S. gaming market, but I'm sure it's pretty consistent with the U.K. numbers as far as chip consoles and emulation is concerned. And so, you know what? That money equals jobs. Okay? And those jobs equals more and different types of games that we can experience.
Right, if you don't have capital.
It's
The same thing happened to the movie business. I know we've talked
the
about
movie
movies a lot.
industry is losing about $2 billion a year.
Right,
in
and
piracy.
the reason why we only get there's like a gap in movies where there's a crappy down season and there's lesser movies coming out is because of that very reason. It's because they don't have the money. They don't have the known income to make those little risks.
This is what it is in the movie industry. The reason they have tentpole movies, they put the big budget movies out in either December or in the middle of the summer. Those big tentpole movies pay for the studio, basically.
The next 6 months of operation.
And and it pays for the operations. And then, so basically all the studios can do right now, all that's working for them is to put out giant movies that'll make them, toy money and will make them a large amount of box office.
Right.
And then occasionally they'll put out like a little horror movie that costs like $1 million. Here's what we're losing from at least the 90s and the 80s. And they had mid-budget movies. And we're losing mid-budget movies. What those were like the historical epics or the family dramas or the romantic comedies that would turn a profit.
That's okay, but
There are still good ones, so fuck off.
I know. But
With your snide comment about the genre.
it was just the weakest.
I understand. I have the same feeling, but I'm saying that
Right, they don't do it anymore.
they hardly do it anymore. That is a risk to them. They were going to make Lincoln, the Steven Spielberg movie, a miniseries because the studio wasn't willing to put in money for a mid-budget movie, which that $40 million movie would have been, that's considered mid-budget. Like, that's risky to them now because all they do is put 10 poles out and then really small movies. That's all they're willing to do. And the reason why that is because they don't have the extra $2 billion
to lose on the small movie, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's being stolen. There's so many piration issues. That's why they have different.
Is ridiculous.
That's why they released Iron Man 3, I think, in certain countries before others, because I think they
wanted to stop the piracy.
Yeah, they wanted to stop piracy because they're like, okay, these are the big areas that are gonna steal it.
Yeah, China's they pirate.
Oh yeah, they pirate like nuts, man. But they want to release it in those areas first, so that the piration attrition rate is lessened.
So,
which is really sad, but
the gaming industry, with its piration, although it is harder to pirate a game, it is a similar effect.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Some of those numbers could be semi-inflated, though, because if you think about it, if you steal it, if our theory is true, our high school theory of you don't have the money, you would have never gone to see the movie anyway. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you are taking money out of the economy, but it still could be. kind of a thing.
Okay, so our last little cap off. Caleb, Craig, you want to share with us what you found?
Yeah, I found a little article a little bit ago, and I had seen it before we started this show, and I just remembered it while we were talking about piracy. And it's just a short little list of ways that developers had punished people who had pirated their games.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so the first one I got here is The Sims 4. When people pirated The Sims 4 when it came out, there was a glitch that forcibly happened that caused the entire game to go pixelated.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they couldn't view it in full graphic mode. Mm-hmm. It just became a
Like a little
like an
douchey
like
thing.
a 16-bit game is what it became pretty much.
All right, that's good. That's good.
Okay, and then with Serious Sam's 3, there was a unrelenting pink scorpion of death. There was a large creature that would constantly be following you and would not be able to be killed, and it would constantly be chasing you and killing you.
That's got to be some like
Relentlessly.
crazy programming too. If this burn happens,
It's like that.
Or if this particular thing is missing, then this happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
There's some
It would
extra
be-
line of code that they put on the legit copy. Some sort of somehow they do that, and then if that's missing, then Pink Scorpion Man.
It's just
It
the
would be-
watermark of the game.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
kind of like that. I think I've mentioned this somewhere before. Like when I was playing Black Ops and Caleb was there, and I
faceless
killed
man, yeah.
I killed this guy, and he just like dropped his face was gone. He dropped his gun. He was chasing me, would not die, and was beating me down with nothing. So it just looked like he was trying to kung fu fight me the entire time. While I was running down,
everybody was kung fu fighting.
having to fight. Like I didn't like. I had to like. There was a
Those
cutscene going
cats
on
were
where I was
fast
like
as
talking
hell.
to a guy, I couldn't move, and the dude was just constantly just hitting me. And then I was like, as soon as
Maybe
I got out,
you.
I had to run.
I don't know. Did you pay for the game?
I
Caleb?
did. I
Okay.
did, unless there was like something weird. I don't know. All right, and then for another one, let's see.
You gotta wait for the article to load.
I got it. Okay, so Batman apparently, I don't know which one. Oh, it's Arkham Asylum. It featured a thing where when you were gliding with Batman, he would randomly just plummet to the ground and start flapping, I guess. So he couldn't actually do a lot of the stuff that you could do in the games. Every time you tried to
Nice.
glide, you would immediately just go to the ground.
That's awesome.
It's pretty funny. Okay, so in the Arma series, the take on helicopters was that. Where is it? Sorry, guys.
Boy.
Where is it?
I'll just do a Sudoku over here.
You see where I can put a 5?
Well, what was
okay?
what was
So it caused all of the helicopters and like planes and stuff to just stop midair and then just fall to the ground.
nice? What was the Witcher 3 one that you were talking about earlier? And we'll just end with that one.
I believe it had something to do with like if they pirated The Witcher, or I can't remember which one it was. There would just be like a bunch of cows that would come to attack you.
So that was great. So I say to our audience at home, if you have an ounce of morality in you, and you're an adult, pay for your fucking games.
I actually have a better one to
Okay.
end on. This is
All right.
one that I remember because I bought this game. It's called Game Dev Tycoon, where you it's a simulator game where you start up your own gaming company in like a garage, and you like make games and stuff. You like add.
Do you
buy,
actually
buy more?
program the games, or you just
No, you
develop?
just-
Is that like a
it's just
sim game?
Yeah, it's a sim
it's
game.
a simulator game where you like make your own
That
games
sounds
and stuff.
interesting. Was it fun?
It is pretty fun.
might-
You should get it. It's on Steam for I think around $10.
Okay, that's not bad.
All right, yeah, it's a little indie game, and the funny way that it stopped pirates, it would be a little thing would come up whenever your new game had come out, and it would say that you had been robbed by pirates,
Wow.
and you didn't make any money off of the game. So that is fantastic.
That's pretty classic. That's amazing.
It's too good.
Oh, sorry, everyone pirated it. You didn't make any money.
All right, shall we get fat?
Poetic justice.
Yeah, let's get fat.
Let's get fat.
All right, so getting fat with Caleb this week. I, as you know, I have
You got
a
fat
few-
with Caleb this week.
I did, yes.
Did you touch his fatty?
How could I not?
Well, he did while we were doing Ultima. He grabbed my tit.
I did grab his tit.
Live on Twitch.
Yeah, and then I shot a nice
Did
load
you fucking really?
in my
Yeah, you
pants.
did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. No, but
I just went like that too.
You didn't show the people the load in the pants.
no, I didn't show
No,
that.
no.
That's a little bit above what I'm
that's
willing
like-
to show.
Yeah.
Those are my children we're talking about here. I don't bring that into this.
They're only half a child, by the way.
True. So anyway, one of my goals was to get into better shape, and I'm doing my yoga class.
Does that mean masturbation is half an
Which-
abortion?
Maybe.
I don't know. Some people,
Die.
I don't know. There's interesting arguments about that, but we can't have them here.
Let's not actually get into a
Okay.
a debate on
abortion
abortion.
argument.
Because I was gonna get into like freezing sperm and everything.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, whatever.
Well, we're not talking about your cum sickles that you got in the freezer. That's
Hey, those are for you. I made them with love.
I made this for you.
with love and Sasha.
Inside joke. Okay, all right.
Yes. Well, Sasha's a porn star. Anyway, so my
Sasha Grey is a porn star.
Grey, yes.
Sasha is a first name.
Sasha is a first name that happens to be the first name of a porn star. So I've wanted to lose a little weight because I'm getting kind of fat, and I've been doing my yoga class. I've been going on time. I'm a little sore from last time. There's a lot of planking and doing some positions and stuff. So my chest and shoulders are a little sore because I'm super out of shape. And I don't know, I feel pretty good, even just 2 days a week kind of a thing. Yeah, it feels great. I'm up to date on all my movies except for today. Watched some great ones. I won't go into too much detail on that.
Why not?
Because we're
why not?
Nah, I'm good. We don't have to.
I'll go into mine, and Caleb will go into his. So you might as well share yours.
All right, so we all saw The Revenant. It was great.
It was fucking awesome.
It was all filmed in natural light.
I love. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was a great
I
movie.
loved every minute of it.
Joe and I watched Duck You Sucker, which is the second movie in the second Dollars trilogy, so to speak. That's
The
comes
Once Upon
after.
in the Blank trilogy.
Yeah, Once Upon in the Blank. And I thought that movie was awesome too.
It was a lot of fun.
Some great camera angles. Not as amazing as some of the others, perhaps, but still great in its own respect. And the train, the cinematics were awesome. Like the destruction of the train and stuff. That was
Yeah,
that
the
was like
special effects.
60s.
Yeah, it was
That's
great.
Nuts. Yeah, it looked amazing.
It was a lot of fun. Big
But,
fun movie.
Yeah, I watched those two, and then what else did I watch? I watched Rain Man on Sunday with Cameron.
That was
That's an excellent movie.
Yeah, it is.
That was a really good movie.
Kmart sucks.
You said interesting, and then you said
It was interesting and excellent at the same time.
Okay.
I was interested and
Excel.
Oh, so it wasn't it wasn't being interested in it, because when I hear that movie was interesting, I hear that movie was unique and kind of odd.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
All right, and then
when
I
hear that
watched.
word. But is that how you feel, or is it just a good movie?
it was a good movie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, and Dustin Hoffman's awesome. And I watched the
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
second and third Mad Max movies. That's
You watched those without me. I've been wanting to watch this for a long time.
dude. You haven't
I
watched
have been
the first
wanting to
one.
watch him for a long time too, and then Caleb was like, "Yeah, I rented it from the library,"
and-
I'll also fuck you, and then he watched it.
Well,
I'm the only one that outside of Caleb who recently watched them that has seen them.
well, I watched the first one months ago, so couldn't have watched that with you.
All right, I'm gonna have to go to the fucking library.
It's a
and rent it, too.
it's a great series. It really is really good. Like the worst
sweet.
one is still like 4.5 or 4 stars for me, which is nuts. Star Wars can't even say that. Not even close.
All right.
But yeah, so I watched those two, and then I watched
So, real quick question. After
you
seeing the
watch-
2 original ones, and then, realizing, and then, watching the newer one, how do you think that compares?
I think the new one is a great
I think it deserves
remake.
its Best Picture nominee. Honestly,
So, you
I think it
think
does, too.
that
I think it was a
does
perfect
this-
action movie.
Do you think it does
and those
it
are
justice?
rare.
Oh, I think it does it justice for sure. I think the first one or the reboot, Fury Road, is either my favorite or second favorite after Road Warrior. Road Warrior was fucking awesome,
All right.
Road Warriors.
just amazing. It's
I would like to have experience.
So
with it.
we've often said that if metal was a movie genre, Mad Max is metal. How do you think the previous ones do they live up to that too?
Are they still metal?
yeah, they're more hair metal. which is unfortunate. But it's still metal. And the new one was kind of hair metal-y, too, with the main bad guy. He was hair metal, like Dio, if he had a little more hair. That's what it would have been. But no, it lives up to it for sure. And it does have some zany 80s, some, clothing-wise.
Okay.
But it gets away with it. And then I watched Stanley Kubrick's first movie, Fear and Desire. First theatrically released movie. And it was okay. It had a kind of an aura of his movies, but not great.
I would like to state that is my opinion that Stanley Kubrick is not a true genius. Mozart is like the epitome of genius that we think of, right? Because as a child, he was insane, and then he just kept that insanity of amazing quality of his work up through his short adulthood. Stanley Kubrick, not a natural genius because his first it took him like 4 movies before he started becoming the great filmmaker that he became.
Yeah, but some of them, not I don't think anybody starts out pure genius. I can't think of a single.
That's the argument though, because there are like people who do start out of nothing. They just have something. They have an incredible gift.
Who was it that directed Gravity?
That was Alfonso Cuarón.
But that was not his first film?
No.
Okay. I have no idea.
You saw me watching his first film.
Which film was that?
It was the Mexican comedy where the guy was having an affair.
Who was it then? Yeah, I saw that.
What was the name of that movie? I can't remember.
Then who was it that was pretty much a brand new director, but who knew someone else who was an amazing director, so got a chance to do a really good film that got a lot of attention?
I don't know. George Lucas?
I watched The Notebook too, which is not that great.
You watched that with the girly friend?
Yeah, okay. And then I don't know. Did I talk about Spartacus last time? I'm not sure if I did.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh yeah, you did.
It was great.
Yeah, fucking yeah.
Is this the Spartacus we watched in school?
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
Spartacus.
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah, that's
fantastic.
a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Oh yeah, he's a beast.
That kissing
sweet.
scene where they're laying down in the grass and kissing each other and rolling, the teacher had to pause it every time and say, "Hey guys, this is how you do it."
Yeah. He even he's like, this is the move, and then he did like a play-by-play, and he's like,
Did we
watch
talk about
as
this
he
last
does
time?
this. No,
we didn't. We talked about it off air.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked about it before.
He also pointed out in the
funny that
one
Cam
scene
Cam
where
brought it up.
when they're breaking out of the arena, right? And this one dude gets slammed against that pot. He actually gets slammed.
There was a stunt man that like all his teeth got broken out.
Oh,
Shot.
jeez.
Ouch.
It's pretty
The dental bill must have been insane.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so I'm behind today. I didn't watch a movie yesterday, so I'm probably going to watch a couple. Hopefully we'll go watch Barry Lyndon.
There's a few off of the Academy Award nominees that I haven't seen. I have not seen Brooklyn. I have not seen the I can't remember the title, but the one about the priests and the journalists. I have not seen Room, which is out, and I should probably go see it. Otherwise, I've actually seen about half the Best Picture nominees, which is unusual for.
Oh no!
So I was thinking we could watch one of those.
I want to. Okay, maybe in addition, but I want to watch Barry Lyndon tonight. That's the thing I want.
Oh yeah, let's watch Barry
I
Lyndon.
want to complete the Kubrick experience.
Okay,
It's
I do
time.
too. I've been saving that Barry Lyndon for a final Kubrick.
Now that I've caught up, we can do it.
filmography watch.
All right, so yeah, and I haven't read anything this year. I've been reading my textbooks, which are quite lengthy, and I think totally count towards the reading, which is sad but
Cameron,
true.
I listened to the first episode, and you did say you wanted to read this year.
Have you
I
read?
did. Well, does
And
listening to
you wanted to
audiobooks
get into
count?
shape, and you
I would
wanted to
say,
read.
yeah, we've had this discussion before.
If it counts for you, it counts.
Okay,
It makes you a lesser in my eyes, but yes, it counts.
Okay, so I have been listening to a book that I've already listened to. Does that count?
Sure, yeah, that's
Okay, yes. So I'm on go with that. I've been listening to like 2 or 3 hours of a book a day. I'm also reading a Tom Clancy novel I haven't read before. So
What book are you listening to?
I think I'm on book 4 of Wheel of Time.
Nice.
You think you're on book 4? I
They all
don't know.
It all
It's all
turns
muddy. It
into the
could be
same
book
thing.
5.
They
it
all
could be
blend.
book
They all
6.
blend into one. So
Yeah.
I've just been listening from one on. So I think I'm almost done with book 4 now.
Okay.
all right. Sweet. What else did you have as your goal? I mean, you've been
Getting
working
into
out.
shape.
Getting into shape, and I have not been to the gym last week at all.
Do you want to explain our discussion when I came home one night? Okay, this is what happened. The week before, we had decided upon times to go to the gym.
Right.
And days to go to the gym. I came home, and I'm still really confused about this. I came home ready to go to the gym before we went to do our Godzilla podcast. And I was like, Cameron, let's go. Because Cameron was just there. And I was like, and he's like, what? And I'm like, it's Tuesday. It's the day to go to the gym. And then he said, no, that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I'm like, what? We agreed. And he says, I can't do it on those days. Why?
Because I had other plans. That's why.
What other plans? You just sat in your room and talked on the phone.
No, I was teaching someone over Skype. It was what I was doing.
Teaching someone what?
I was teaching someone a language over Skype.
So you have a language partner.
So at BYU, there's a person I know, a friend of mine, who is teaching a language class, and they decided people who so they decided at BYU, if you're not actually registered for that class, you can't actually sit in on it. So I was offering to someone else to teach them this language, and that's what I did. Tuesday night.
You can't just say Estonian.
Yeah, well, Estonian.
Okay.
Right,
so why didn't
that's what I
you
did
tell me
Tuesday
that?
night.
Why did you have to be a dick and just say, meh?
I had something else to do.
Why didn't you just tell me you were teaching someone over Skype?
I just didn't.
You
tell
just had to be a cock.
All right, so
Okay, was that cocky though?
A
Like
little
just
bit.
like we have plans, and then you just tell me to fuck off, basically.
Do not want me to get into that right now.
And then you just like, I just went on. Like I was like, okay.
Okay, what were you saying, Caleb?
well, I was saying that he failed at the fitness thing. Is there anything else?
And it's not. I failed at it too because I didn't have a gym.
Because
partner.
you need
Well,
a
you
gym
coulda
partner to
gone.
hold your hand the whole way.
and obviously you do too, Cameron.
I had other plans.
on
but she
Monday,
didn't
Wednesday,
work
Friday.
out. She didn't work
On
out.
Monday, Wednesday,
That's
Friday,
insane.
you had other plans? Or is it a similar failure?
Hey, Cam, were you watching other movies, or were you doing the movie thing like us?
I'm not doing the movie thing.
Oh,
No,
okay.
he's not doing the movie thing.
I think that was it for you then, wasn't it?
Yep, that's it.
He just had books and...
No, I'm also keeping track of my budget, and I have my.
Oh,
little
yeah,
budget
that's
book.
right, the
that's
budget.
How's that going?
It's actually going well. I don't have my budget book here, but I've been just keeping track of every transaction.
Yeah, you'd being disgusted by the small purchases of food.
No, when you're keeping track of your budget, you tend not to spend as much. I found out.
Yeah, it makes sense. You see,
I just kind of look at it and I'm like,
that
I get.
sucks.
Well, are you fit? You're physically doing it though. You're writing it down.
Yes, I'm actually physically writing down the book,
Are
and
you
I'm
one of those
also
guys who
doing.
requests receipts?
No.
Okay.
No.
I hate those people.
Um,
Those things are on your
But in addition with that, I've been doing my diet that I've started, and that has been going well.
Oh, that's nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Caleb.
All right, so as you guys know, I've already read 2 books this year.
Okay.
Don't have a third one to announce for this week.
Okay.
But I did watch a couple movies. I'm one behind, but mostly because I'm not counting Kung Fury, because it's only like a half hour
short
long.
film.
Yeah, it's only like
It's not a film.
30 minutes, so yeah, not counting that one. But I did see The Resurrection of Frieza. Yeah, Dragon
Okay.
Ball Z movie that was released in theaters, so I had to watch it, and I was wanting to watch it.
I feel like there
anyway.
were a million other things that you could have watched.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It was quick. It was easy.
yeah.
Watched it. It
Okay.
was nice.
All
Anyway, then I watched Vampire Hunter D again with Joe. I showed him that movie. And then Joe and I watched The Adventures of Prince Ahmed, which is the first full-length animated film.
Yeah. It was, you know what? It was entertaining. And
was.
it was really like the animation was cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, oh, this is the first one, so it's kind of crappy. It was like the way, I don't, what is that type of animation called?
It was
like
silhouette,
Silhouette animation.
where they cut out like pieces of paper and then just like have them move.
And they got a bright light behind it and they take a picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like kind of like stop motion animation mixed with like it being cutouts.
It's
and
like old
silhouette-y.
South Park animation, only there's only light coming behind them
Yeah.
instead of on top of them.
All right.
And we watched like a version where like they had tinted it, like, you know, added color, even though it was...
Well, the only surviving prints were black and white, but it was supposed to be tinted.
Was it supposed to be tinted?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was originally tinted, and so they went back and re-tinted it.
Okay.
So that was legitimately really cool.
Yeah, it looked really good. I was surprised by some of the things they were able to do in some of those things. And then the other things that I watched were Revenant with the guys here. We went and saw that. And then I watched Box Trolls on Netflix.
How was that?
It wasn't bad. It was strange, but it wasn't bad.
Okay, it was being advertised for like 12 years. It felt like before the movie came out.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of,
and then it just kind of like went and died.
Yeah, I never really heard much about it after it like actually came out. But there was like a ton of stuff. I even saw like some of the sets that they had made. Like they had like 20 different like little characters that they had made for each little motion that they were going to be doing. It was insane, but it was not bad. I really enjoyed that one. And then there was Monster in Paris, which was the last one that I watched. And I watched that yesterday.
You said that was weird.
It was kind of weird, yeah. It's about like these two guys, and they accidentally drop this growth potion mixed with like a well-singing potion on this flea, and it becomes big and can sing well, and they basically give it humanity.
Wow, that's weird.
It's really weird.
Does it still like suck their blood and shit?
No, it's friendly, and it sings, and it can play the guitar. I don't know how it got that ability, but it just can.
Maybe all fleas have it and they just can't play because they're too big.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Who's to say?
But it wasn't a bad movie. It was just kind of strange. So yeah, those were the movies that I watched.
Nice. Any
Yeah.
other goals? I can't remember.
No, just
No.
the books and
Yeah.
the books and movies.
Okay, well, I've been typing my merry way. I've been trying anyway. Sometimes I like slack into old habits and I'm like, no, stop. I also, for dieting, I stopped dieting. And I have, for the most part, stopped binging also along with that. So maybe there was a connection between the binging and the dieting, but I won't know until I go along further. I was thinking about it though, like when I was skinnier in high school, I wasn't dieting. I was just more active.
Yeah.
So,
But then again, you're eating a lot more now bad food than you were then, though.
And we're not active because of this kind of stuff.
well,
Well, in high school, we also had like weight classes and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
our activity
so
was
we
forced.
were kind of like forced to
But
do
that's really
stuff.
funny because I'm going to try a version of the Atkins diet.
oh, okay. All right. Way to go. But yeah, I'm going to, we'll see for a few weeks. I mean, I feel like my belt is not as tight as it was a couple weeks ago. So I feel like I went down just arbitrarily. So we'll see. Maybe it's a stress thing. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm at school all day and I'm not eating. That could be another thing. Or it could be the type of food that I'm eating. I didn't have any money, so I was just eating rice. And rice isn't necessarily as like bloaty as other foods are. So, despite the fact that I ate a lot of it, the movies I watched this week, once again, Adventures of Prince Ahmed, Vampire Hunter D. I watched The 400 Blows, which is like on most of these film lists, it's like one of the greatest movies of all time, and just it's artistic kind of way of dealing with things, and it's a young adult or not. It's kind of like a boyhood coming of age story ish. It's a beautiful movie, and it's really good. And I suggest if you're into like French art films, go check it out.
No one will watch it.
Yeah. I also. So UVU has this thing called Cine Skype, where we watch a movie. Usually it's most of the people in the film department, but some other people come in every once in a while. You watch a movie of a filmmaker that a filmmaker did, and then we Skype the filmmaker and ask him questions. And we watch, I can't remember the name of the director, but I asked him a question. We watched Living in Oblivion, which stars Steve Buscemi as a film director, and everything goes wrong on set, and it's amazing. This movie is so great, and if you can get a hold of this movie, it is one of the funniest little movies about making movies I've ever seen. And the director was really cool too. He was drinking scotch while he was answering the questions. So as we went along, we talked to him for like an hour and a half. As we went along, he slowly got more and more intoxicated. And I asked him what it was like, how he worked with his director of photography to like achieve his vision. And he talked about how he had to fire a director of photography. And I asked him how he dealt with that. And I don't know. He was a really cool dude, and his movie was super entertaining, and I super enjoyed it. So Living in Oblivion is great. Another one of those French art films that I saw was Au Hazard Balthazar, which this was probably the most amazing movie of the week in my opinion. It's about this donkey that is kind of traded around between all the people who own this land that the donkey lives on. And there's just the stories of the people that surround the donkey. So not only was the donkey kind of the main character, or at least the character that we saw the movie through, like all these little stories were just heartbreaking, and like some are like little happy stories, some are really sad stories. The main, I think, biggest story in the thing was about this boy and this girl, Mary and Jacques, and Jacques has to move away, and Mary's there, and like he scratches a heart with their names in it in the bench, right? And then this girl, as she's growing up, there's a boy in the neighborhood that's kind of a bad guy, and he rapes her, and then she falls in love with him, and then
that's interesting.
And then when she realizes, like, when she brings shame to her family and all this other shit because of the stuff that she is doing and the boy is doing, she tries to end it with him and get back together with Jacques after like some time. And then that dude and his friends beat her and strip her naked, and she's just alone in the thing. Oh, it's sad, dude. And the whole time that piece of shit that was doing that was also like abusing the donkey, like hitting they were just horrible to this donkey, which the girl, the Mary girl, she loved the donkey. Like that was her, like her pet almost. And like, oh, dude, it is sad. It is a sad movie. And then at the end of the movie, actually, I'm not gonna. It's on the list, so you guys might actually watch this movie someday. I'm not gonna give them ending away, but it is a beautiful, small, kind of sad, rural French movie, and it's just amazing. I can't explain it. It's just beautiful.
Sounds like you
dude,
could.
It is hard for me to watch anything where there's like a rape scene. It just
there's
so difficult.
I think you might have.
The rape is kind of like, she's dealing with her sexuality, and so it's like rapey, and then it's not, and then it is, and then but later when she gets beat, that's the
anything
rough.
like that. I just can't.
And it's not a scene.
hard.
You don't see it happen. It's like an ellipses between the things, so you know what happens though.
You sure didn't just like it because you could, I don't know, relate to the donkey, relate to the ass in the movie?
Fuck you. So those are the movies I watched outside of what we talked about.
All right.
But yeah, I had a pretty good week. School has been stopping me from reading a lot.
Yeah, same here. I don't have time for that and all this. So
And then, of course,
that's why I listen to
the
books.
Diablo
That's the only
thing
time
pissed
I
me
have
off.
to actually read is
Yeah,
when
fair
I'm
enough.
driving. That's the only
You haven't
reason
been
why.
listening
I
to
have like 10 minutes of
books?
driving a day.
Aren't you still using my Audible?
Not recently, no.
And plus, my job requires
I'm not
me to
logged
pay
in.
attention, so I can't just listen. Sadly, or
Yeah,
I
I
would.
can't listen to a book at work either. I can listen to music, but just not a book.
Yeah, it's,
Why?
it
weird.
sucks.
Because that's not that they said you can't. It's just I can't give the book the full attention that it needs
Or the job.
while I'm paying attention to the job.
Yeah.
I want to share one more tweet before we end here.
All right. What is it?
This is a tweet I saw on my thing, and I retweeted it because it's fucking funny. There's a hardwood store called Woodstock Home and Hardware, and they have one of those custom signs where they put the words up, one stick.
A marquee.
One stick at it. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's a marquee.
Okay, and on their marquee it says, Trump's wives were immigrants. Proving again they'll do jobs Americans won't.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Thought that was fucking funny. Guys, check us out at newclan.net. We'll see you guys next week.
Enjoy the movie.
Hopefully we'll have a Diablo review for you.
We fucking better,
Hopefully. I can't guarantee it at this point.
Joe.
I can't. Sorry.
We'll talk to you guys in a week.
Enjoy the nude.
Enjoy. Live always in the nude.
Yeah!